are we concerned? Well, we want our horses taken care of. One of the things they were doing was mandating a very specific type of structure that was a three-sided shelter where the horse could stand, lay down, and turn around simultaneously. They were mandating exercise, social activity for the animal, and even the county's own facility would not have met these standards. I drove to Asheville. I met with the county commissioners. We begged them to not put this ordinance into effect until they could hear from the agriculture community and the equine community as a whole. We met with them and shared with them that horses, can also survive without man-made shelter. That if they have a natural shelter, they can be well taken care of with food and water. We had over 16 equine vets at the meeting. The commissioners did agree to hold. We went back up the next week, presented them with evidence. They pulled the equine. They pulled it from it and changed their ordinance to meet the criteria of what we were asking them for. However, one of the commissioners, with her own agenda, put on YouTube that she felt this was the best ordinance that was ever written and all 99 other counties should mimic it. And I said, oh no, I can't go to all 99 counties. We've got a problem here with that. Social media, as you know, puts out a lot of information, and if it's on Facebook, it must be correct. So this was an issue. We went back to our state legislators in this last session and we said, how can we deal with this? We were successful in passing a new ordinance that said that prohibits cities and counties from mandating specific shelter type, medicine, food, exercise, and social interaction for farm animals, and specifically horses. Now that doesn't mean we're not concerned about the welfare, because we are. And that's why we did it. This allows us as an industry and a community to establish those standards of care. And that's what we'll be working with. Our board is currently sitting down now, looking at standards of care, trying to help people say, okay, how can we provide either natural or man-made shelter for animals that may require that? And not all horses require that. So we felt that this, in the end, will protect our community, because this would have required, if you have, say, 5 turnouts on your farm, this ordinance, you would have had to have had a specific size and dimension of three-sided run-in for your horses in every one of those pastures. It could have been cost prohibitive for most of our equine owners at the time. So we think that this is a good law. We think that this will, in the end, help protect us and allow us the opportunity to take care of our animals in the manner that we feel we know best.
Can you share your story about your particular run-in sheds?
I'm sorry?
Can you share your story about your run-in sheds?
Oh, I sure can. As the executive director of the Horse Council, I live on a cut-through road, the very long fence line down a small cut-through road from 751 South Point Mall to the university on the other end. So 2 times a day it's extremely crowded. The rest is fairly quiet. And I said to my husband, I said, I want you to put up 3-sided shelters in these pastures all along here, because I'm worried that if somebody comes along, even though they have tree line and a lot of shade and everything else, I want them, it's up. I don't have to deal with that. We're going to go over the top with that. So we did. Now, it's 13 years now, later, and those horses have only been in that shelter, those shelters, perhaps maybe 1 time. And that's because I lured them in there with sweet feed. Come on, we can go in. And the reason for that is that oftentimes that's about the worst kind of shelter you can build for a horse, because it looks like a cave. They're predators. I mean, they're not predators, and that's where the predators live, in that cave. So I'm not going in that cave. I don't know how many of you have 3-sided shelters, but they're kind of difficult to get a lot of horses in. So we laugh about it, because I have these wonderful 3-sided shelters in these pastures, and I think I'm the only one that's enjoyed them in the middle of the summer. Stop the tractor under that and rest in the shade, then go on. So it was an interesting activity. I'm thrilled that our legislature and Farm Bureau supported us and that we were able to get that particular bill passed. This year, in one of the bills that was passed, it was called by many Sunday hunting. Anybody familiar with that? Okay. As you know, Sunday hunting is not something the equine community supports. We do feel strongly that this is a day where we can access land and access it freely, not have to worry about other hunting type activities and so forth. However, the bill that was passed was extremely limited to private land, not public. So that's a good thing. In the as we were negotiating with the bill sponsors, one of the things that we asked for in that is that we work on improving access to public land for all trail user groups, but specifically equine. And in that bill, they placed a measure to create an outdoor cultural heritage board. And that board was to be charged with improving access to public land and specifically access for youth. How do we get our kids outside off of that and get some dirt under their fingernails and enjoy what culturally is part of our heritage to be out. This country and this state was founded on horseback. So let's get them out there. How do we do that? In doing so, for the very first time, the equine community is now represented at that table. I received a 3-year appointment from the governor to the Outdoor Cultural Heritage Board. They gave 1-year, 2-year, and 3-year appointments, and they gave the equine industry a 3-year appointment to that board. We met for the first time last week, Thursday. And the other interesting part about that, y'all, you know, we're a predominantly female-driven industry. I am the only female on that board. So I clearly told them, I said, I've been married 42 years, guys. If that tells you anything. Took me a long time to train, but we did. And in that, I got you guys covered. I got all you guys covered, and they all laughed. And so we're going to see where we go with that board. But we did receive that board, and Speaker Moore appointed me to a year to the Agriculture and Forestry Awareness Committee. This is the first time we'll be at the table before something is passed, before a closure is made, before something is done, and hopefully that will allow us to increase our access to public land. Now, they may have thought those appointments would keep us from pushing forward the access to public land bill, but it's going to go forward. We're going to push that forward too.
I've got something to say on that if I can really quickly, because I've, for years, fought against Sunday hunting in public land. And one thing that I didn't think about until just recently as a rebuttal to that, because that's going to keep being pushed forward by the NRA and by hunters who want to take their kids out to public game lands and target, shoot, and hunt on Sundays. It just is, that pressure is going to remain. It's actually in a population, if you look at it in population, their population is much higher than ours. So the NRA has a lot more money. So we're going to always have that pressure, and we have to fight against it. And one thing that I thought about recently is that because our state is becoming a lot more populated, I find that horseback people oftentimes are living in areas where people are hunting right next door to them. And so we need a place to go where there's no hunting. And we don't have that, and so I think that that's a good rebuttal to, you know, they're saying we need hunting on Sundays, we need hunting on Sundays. We don't have anywhere, and okay, well, you can hunt on private land. Well, where in the world are we going to go when you're not shooting a gun one day out of the week?
Right.
So I think that that's a good rebuttal for the future.
And I will take that back to the group. I will actually share that with them. We're just beginning the process. And of course, it's not just about wildlife resource land, although they made the first presentation on Thursday. So hunting was the predominant theme as we talked on Thursday. But I think you are correct. That bill, by the way, if you read the one that allows Sunday hunting on private land, is extremely restrictive.
It is.
It is very restrictive. It's going to be very hard to find some of those properties, but it's a foot in the door. It's a crack. As we look at increasing public access, I do believe they are going to come back at opening Sunday hunting on public lands. One of the things we will be sharing with them is the gains program from New Mexico, of how they've worked their public lands between hunters and equestrians and hikers and bikers. It's a great plan. If you haven't looked at it, it's gaining access to nature. It's a wonderful model, I think, that could be useful to us. But we will be doing that. I think the argument of you have alternatives, where are alternatives, is certainly there and certainly important. So that's a good
Just want
point.
to bring it up also.
Yes, ma'am.
It's my understanding we have 2 game reserves in this area, 2 game reserves. One's Holly Shelter, which is between Hampstead and here. My understanding is that they're putting in a shooting range in that facility. And yet it has been used for years by people who want to ride. And of course, since most of us work, we want to ride on the weekend. And my understanding was no limit to when they could use this thing.
I can speak to that because I fought very strongly for that hunting range, and a number of other equestrians did in our community, because what was happening is that as the population increased in this region, people were just going out and parking their cars and shooting a gun right out of their car in Holly Shelter. And I even, one of the last times I rode out there before the shooting range went up, this granddad pulled a giant rifle out and put it on some kid's shoulder and started shooting it right out of their car window when I was going down Lodge Road, which is the main road into Holly Shelter. So we actually, equestrians actually
Supported that.
really fought hard to get that, and we actually worked on it for a few years, and it's a good thing, and it is in place, and it is off Shaw Highway. And you can ride in Holly Shelter every single day of the year, so don't let anybody tell you that you can't.
Is
You just
that
have to stay on
wildlife
the road.
resource land?
Mhm.
Is that wildlife resource land?
It's a game land.
So, okay, so it's game land.
It is.
Is it managed by wildlife resource?
It is.
Is it
Yes.
managed?
It is.
It is?
Correct, it is.
Okay. Those are going to be critical issues as we move forward. I'm somewhat familiar with that piece of land. We run up against a federal regulation of how that, like where dollars come in, or how that's managed. But Wildlife Resources now are willing to work with the equestrian community on some of these issues. So make sure I know so I'm sure of which piece it is, and I'll make sure that they know what the concern is and how we can continue to preserve. Because we are gaining access now to wildlife resource, lands managed by Wildlife Resource. And that's part of this, both of these two committees here are going to be looking at just those issues. So I need to know what they are. So while historically we've been on that property, sometimes we've not been on that property, quote, under approved circumstances. Sometimes we are, and sometimes we aren't. I'm not sure about this piece. So we can work with hunters. I'm not opposed to hunting, I will tell you that right now. My father-in-law passed away 2 years ago now at 104, and was the oldest living NRA member in the state of North Carolina. So I'm grounded in that. I will share with you Thursday at my barn in Durham. We'll be hosting the Chapel Hill Friends of the NRA banquet in the barn. They are a strong lobbying group for sure, but I always like to stay close. I want them, they can help us,
Yeah.
and we can help them. So I find that liaison can work. Hunters like to go in early in the morning, and again right before dusk. They don't care a bit about being in there in the middle part of the day. Not saying that's a good deal, but I'm saying it's a potential deal. Those are the issues that we all, as we move forward across the land, we have to learn. What can we accept and what can't we, and where do we take a final stand? No compromise. This is where we go. So we'll be looking at that. I'm very concerned about this issue, and of course council in general, we're very concerned. My idea is to try to open up as much of our land as we can to us and preserve all those that culturally we've ridden on all of our lives. And how do we preserve all of those together? We are trying to work very hard with increasing our community, and our state fair is one of those mechanisms. Several years ago, we used to be the largest all breed show in the nation. That has dwindled. We lost many of our breed shows. They came to the Horse Council. We did not cause the breed shows to go. They were already gone. What can we do to bring more people to wanting to ride horses, to be on horseback? One of the things we instituted was a free 5-minute lesson at the state fair. That has now grown to, we did over 2,200 5-minute riding lessons at the last North Carolina State Fair. We're hoping to be able to repeat those activities and to encourage the North Carolina State Fair to add more horse shows back. You've got to give people a reason to want to come to hunt horse during the state fair. You can't have a dark arena. And unfortunately, that's what we have right now, with very few breed shows still at the state fair. If anybody has great ideas on how we can improve that, I'm not sure we can get them to do it, but we are meeting with the commissioner and several others on how we can grow this better. One of the activities we added last year was a drill team competition. We had 5 drill teams come from across the state. We had 4 more this year approach us wanting to come, and the state fair has cut that competition. So we're not sure we're going to be able to get that back in. We're trying now to do that because I think both the competitors and the public enjoyed that competition, and so did the spectators as they came over. So we've got to think of ways of how we put young people and older people back on horses. And when I say both, I mean both, because we're also seeing a restriction of carriage trails. No ability, we might have ridden horses all our life. I know my knees are getting bad now, and someday I might want that carriage. So I think we have to do that. We also have many handicapped children who can enjoy horses from carriages or in that capacity. So I think there are ways that we have to really open up how we're addressing people on horseback. Again, working together, staying together, we can make this happen. I was told 10 years ago, you'll never get present use value clarified. Never. It won't happen. By golly, that was like, waving a red flag in front of a bull to me, because I said, I'm not going to leave here until I get that done. And it got done, but it got done working together and working with other ag groups to carry that through. Here's where I'm working on. 2017 is another long session. We can introduce new legislation. What do I need to do? This is the part you tell me. What do we need to take forward? One of the things, as I shared with you before, if I cannot get it done in short session, is to clarify this Ponta Flora trail for the trail riders in the western part of our state. They're strong about this. This is what they want. They want us to continue to push forward our access to public land, or a right to ride bill. The second thing we're going to be working on, both in short session, but if we have to, we'll go to long session in the Farm Act, is to clarify agribusiness liability insurance. What do I mean by that? Liability, I'm going to talk about our own liability, but liability insurance for an agritourism activity is something that you must have if you're going to bring people on your farm for whatever purpose of tourism. Expose them to animals, be it a pumpkin patch or a hay maze or open horse show, whatever that may be. We are finding that many of our major insurance carriers will not provide this liability if equine activities are involved. Now, our courts have clarified this. Our courts have said we are agritourism. So we feel that this is a case where the insurance laws are not being interpreted fairly. And we will be working with our insurance commissioner and with our legislature, if we have to try to encourage a change in this particular activity. I bet you I've had this call in the office now once a week. They deny me liability insurance on the farm. Where do I go to get liability insurance? We have an open horse show. Where do I go to do this? I'm having a school group out to the farm. Where do I go? I can't, do I have to lock up all the horses and just let them do the others? What do I do? They denied me. I'm a summer camp. They've denied us for our equine activities. So we'll be working on that. I know that is something we're going to be working on. Again, as I said, improving equestrian access to public land. I'll share with you another thing that's going on right now about public land and access. In our federal lands, our public federal lands, we have several of those that have equestrian campgrounds. And they also have campgrounds for the other park visitors. But what we found is that when the equestrians go in there and pull in there to camp, other campers are in the horse access one and they can't get in. They're not allowed in the other one. But the others are allowed in the equestrian. This is a federal issue. The Federal Forest Service, this may be the first in the nation, is now, it's under consideration, it looks like it's going to go through, that they are going to make those specifically equine. No one but equine can park there, and that we hope will again increase our access. Tom Thomas in the western part of the state, who is on our board, who is also the president of the North Carolina Backcountry Horsemen, has been working that issue through for us, and it looks like that may come to pass. We also heard last week that there are only 2 state parks that have equestrian campgrounds, or places where you can camp. And the same thing holds there. A lot of times people can't get into those, so because others are using them. But 2 out of the hundreds of thousands of acres of land, state land and parks that we have in this state is not enough, is not fair and equitable. And so we'll be working with them and through the committee, the Cultural Heritage Committee, to try to improve that access as well. With that said, and before I talk about our insurance and who we are, do you have issues or rules, policy, anything that's impacting you that you want us to take forward? I heard the Sunday hunting. We'll certainly have that on. We'll certainly be looking at how do we protect and what are the negotiation points. So if there are points for you that you're just not compromising, we need to hear those as well too. I can't swear those will go, but we want to know them. We do want to know that. Any other issues that I may not have covered? I want to hear good news. You say you have good news. Well, I've shared some of that good news. I think the good news is that we have the very first ever wildlife resource land in an urban suburban area around Jordan Lake, Mason Point, where wildlife will be, on June 10th, we will be laying out the 12-mile loop for equestrian use on that land around Jordan Lake, which again has never been allowed. So that is tremendous news for us. There are 4 eagles' nests on that property. It circles the lake. I mean, I think it's going to be a wonderful spot for people to come in. Hopefully we'll have 2 6-mile loops. So if you don't want to do the full 12, you can do 6 and then do the other 6 or vice versa. And never before have they allowed us on wildlife resource land, managed land. So that's really good news. I think a lot of it's from some of the appointments. A lot of it's from just the work that a lot of our community has done in this area. Proctor Farm in Wake County area is another one where private land has been put in conservation for equestrian trails only in an urban suburban area. And why is that important, urban suburban? Because when you look at the cluster of where the large groups of horses are, they're in those areas and they have nowhere to go. Private landowners will not let them cross. We can get that handled a little better in some of our other areas, but it just seems almost impossible when you start talking urban, kind of suburban areas. So those are all good news. I think the fact that we have strong lobbyists in the legislature for us right now with Capital City Strategies, they have done an amazing job at positioning the equine industry. As I said, I've been in a legislative meeting. Well, I left one at 2 o'clock at a gun range, opening of the House caucus, House Republican caucus, met there, and it was, equine community was recognized, and I think that's important because I think that's all means that they're going to start to pay attention to us. So that brings me to membership. The first question they ask me, every time I walk into a legislator's office, how many members do you have? Well, that's tough, guys, because I have maybe 1,300, okay? Now, if we add our associations, I have probably about 22,000. But they don't care about the group membership. They care about the individual membership because they see that as a vote. They know that we can get to that and we can make a vote. I will tell you that when we send out a legislative directive from the Horse Council, I'll say, hey, this bill's coming up, I need you guys to write your legislator or send this in or make this call. If they get about anywhere from 5 to 10 within an hour, we've got it. Because they'll just start doing the math. They'll start going, that's a percentage, and that's this percentage, and that's that. That's only gonna work so long. We need to see everybody as an individual member. It's $25 for a year. We're keeping it low. We're trying to keep that low so that we can increase that base. If you don't agree with what we're doing, be a member and tell us what you want. Because we're a big community, and there are pockets of, well, I want that, you know how we are. Well, I only do dressage, so I don't care what you do over there in the Western Ring, or you're a trail rider, and so, we don't care what you guys do in Hunt Horse Complex. And, well, we're very diverse. We have to work together. I think our issues are all the same, regardless. It's our love of the horse, wanting to keep the horse, keep our property, being able to either make a business or a living, or to make our life happier. Whatever the reason, it's all the same. It comes down to that relationship. So it's important that you become part of the group. And if you, as I said, disagree, to come, be part of the group and share what it is that you want to see. We'll do our best to find that middle ground of where we can take that. For an additional $25, you can have a $1 million liability insurance policy. I think I said 25, it's 20 memberships, excuse me. 25 for the insurance. That $1 million life, you own a horse and do not have personal liability, you better rethink it. Because a horse is a large animal. And they're not a vicious animal, even though Connecticut has said they are. They're not a vicious animal, but they're a large animal. And they can get out of a fence and run into a car. If you run into a car and there happens to be a fatality, that's going to be a huge lawsuit. The child is going to be even more. The biggest issue brought forward on that insurance is, believe it or not, of course, kicking a car door on a showground. Seems to be the biggest claim that gets sent in. But that can run into hundreds and thousands of dollars on some of that. If you have somebody come to your farm and rides your horse and falls off and breaks a leg, you may be sued for that. You may need that coverage. We offer it at the lowest rate probably in the country. That same policy individually will cost you about $250 a year. As I said, we sell it for $25 because we're large. I have huge membership in Arizona and California because they've done the research online and realized they can buy it from us much cheaper than they could buy it out in California. It doesn't matter if your horse is in California, Texas, or North Carolina. It makes no difference wherever your horse is. If you're the owner, you have that insurance, and it's stackable. What I mean by stackable is, I'll use myself as an example. I'm a member of the National Arabian Horse Association. In my membership, I have $1 million liability insurance. I can't exempt out. It's just part of my membership. Because my daughter shows, and because we used to show, I don't do it anymore, but I'm a member of the United States Equestrian Federation. I have that same policy, $1 million liability. I now have $2 million. As executive director of the North Carolina Horse Council, I have our policy. I now have $3 million. If my horse gets out on that road, as I said, that cutoff road, runs into a car, kills somebody, I'm going to need every bit of that $3 million liability, regardless of
on your
precautions.
personal liability too.
It's personal liability.
I have personal liability through my
Right.
insurance agency, then through the Arabian Horse.
And it'll go with that
then
too.
through USCF, then through the North Carolina, so that's 4 of them.
Right,
5 of them.
right. Well, this particular policy is only stackable to 3. It's going to let your homeowner kick in first, and then you're going to move up to those 3. That's how that's going to
Okay.
operate. So in essence, you do. That's how that's going to
Right.
go. That's how that's going to go up. I encourage you, just for the peace of mind, if you own a horse, to consider that policy.
So let's say you have 5 horses.
To cover every one of them. You don't have to pay, you don't have to buy it you could own 100 horses and pay $25 if you own those horses.
Now, if your husband owns one of the horses and you
He
own
needs
one
it.
horse,
Then he needs it
both-
too.
Both get memberships, both with the insurance.
Then join
and
as a family.
stackable as well.
That's a
Then join as a family.
clarifying question about that. So is that only the individual membership only apply to recreational horse owners, or does that apply to professionals as well?
It will not apply, it's not a business policy, so it's not going to apply to a trainer. And that's a good question, because if you're a trainer and you're using one of your school horses, you're going to need to look at a different policy than
If you
this.
have a
This is a personal,
If you're a trainer though, you have a personal horse, somebody happens to be riding.
then it would cover that. No, then it would cover that. You'd be fine. You would be fine. It just couldn't be in your
If you were
business.
taking money for
Right.
it, then I just thought
Right.
about that. And
Right.
also,
But your personal horse, it's going to cover you.
the farm membership, we were just speaking about this, the farm membership, if you pay for that, that doesn't give you access to the insurance, correct?
Right.
But it does get you listed in North Carolina Horse Council directory, however, that's subject to change soon. So just
That
for
is subject to
clarity.
change because we want to make that farm membership more attractive. So the board is considering how we can do that. Last year, they added the family and clarified the family membership. And we were able to do that because Equestrian agreed, the insurance carrier agreed they would cover that whole family under that policy fee. So we had to get their agreement first, but we've got that. Now we're working to see if we can do that. There is a trainer's policy through Equestrian, but it's not reasonable to offer it at this point
So
yet.
if you have a family,
That's-
so if Chris and I had 3 kids, and we did each own a horse, and I owned a horse, and Chris owned a horse, would it cover Chris's horse, or just me and the kids?
It'd cover all of it.
So the family membership is like $95, 95.
Yeah, it's 95.
They take Visa and MasterCard.
Online, and online.
And by the way, that was totally theoretical for those of you who don't know us. We was never, I just wanted to clarify that. Sorry.
Yes, sir.
You may have already covered this. This is all new to me because my horse days was years ago living in Texas, and I have come here, I don't have a horse or anything, but I'm just kind of interested. But in Bladen County where I live, there's a whole lot of, government land.
Right.
And when you brought that up, it seemed to me that if you could push the idea that, because I hear a lot of people say that they go out on these lands and go hunting, but if you, in each county or, had just one spot that would be dedicated, to horses, because I don't see, Kelly's gonna have their, parade this Saturday, which, which is tiny, but, they'll have horses and people get excited about the horses.
Sure.
But there's nobody that I can think of riding on, state lands or things like that, but they are hunting on them.
Right.
And it would seem to me that with as many people that own horses, that if they had a spot or two in Bladen County where they could ride their horse, it would add to that.
That's what we're hoping for. That's exactly what we're hoping
Fair,
for.
you can ride down the lane there, designated riding down the lane.
Which one, which one? You mean White Lake?
Not White Lake, Cemetery Lake, and if you call the wildlife, I worked on that, if you call the wildlife guy up there, the wildlife resource officer, they have an office there, they'll show you where the trails are, they're basically gravel roads and a couple of sand trails down to the river, but that, there is a little bit of line in it, if you're interested in it, it's nice, it's not bad.
Right.
Just kind of, and
There's
it's nice.
there are always pockets. You have to look at who the managers are, because we're not under the recreational mission of wildlife resource. That's a hunting and fishing and archery. And that's because of the funding sources, but they are going to change, you're changing that philosophy, so we're going to see more, I think.
One way that I've worked with them when they try to eliminate horseback riding in Holly Shelter, if you read their mission statement, right on the front of their website, it says, for all people.
Right.
And, and I come back to that, so.
Right. It's the Pittman-Robertson Act that holds most of the land managers up on it, but the Pittman-Robertson doesn't exclude. It doesn't necessarily include, but it doesn't exclude, and so that's what we have to work on. That's the piece that we continue to work forward on. So, but I agree, and Bladen County actually came on the Ag and Forestry Committee meeting, so that's something we'll be looking at. There are other value added to our membership. I have some handouts there. Please take a look, but there's some great discounts on farm equipment, farm insurance, and so forth. So it's not just for the membership, but I hope you've heard something tonight that says maybe I should join, maybe I should be involved. We'd love to see new board members come on board, become active with what we're doing. in different areas. We have scholarships. We provide gelding, help with gelding. We provide euthanasia grants. We have a hay safety net or feed grant program. We have a trails program, and we have an educational grant program. Those are online. You can take a look at those and make application for them. We've got some grants down in this area.
So we want to thank you. Well,
North Carolina Horse Council.
North Carolina Horse Council.
Thank you very much, Sue.
And we'd love to have more. We would love to see more. So if there's projects there, let us know.
We are in the middle of.
We are right there with you. We'll be happy to help in any way we can. And I thank you. I know, I'm sorry, I'm long-winded. A lot to say. I really want to hear from you. And please take my cards. If there's questions, call. Yes.
We'd just like to say thank you so much for your support and the support of the North Carolina Horse Council in helping us in Brunswick County and now helping us up in Newton Grove. And I did want to let the group know tonight, if you can please be ambassadors and go out and let people know that the North Carolina Horse Council did give us a $5,000 grant, and it's under construction now, or being used to upgrade a foot trail, a single track foot trail to a double track raised bed horse trail in Howell Woods in Newton Grove. And if you have not been there, it's a great place to ride. You can ride there all day. And I highly recommend it. The people there are very horse friendly. They want you to come up and ride. They have a $10 day fee, but it is well worth it. There's lots of stretches. Basically, the trails are very well maintained, and there's lots of
For
stretches.
carriages and carts.
Yes, there are some, most of their horse trails are double track trails, and there's definitely a trail at Howell Woods Environmental Learning Center.
We just know the Johnson County Community College. We finished by then.
Yeah, so please head up there and just please let everybody know that the North Carolina Horse Council made this trail possible. It's a connecting trail to a much longer horse trail.
The auto trail.
Yeah, so super connectivity, and it was possible by Sue and the North Carolina. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
And you're welcome. And like I said, we do want to hear from you. Sometimes we don't always like what we hear, but we do want to hear from you. Thanks,
Before
guys. I
everybody
appreciate
breaks
it.
up, before everybody leaves, can we, there is a trail ride coming up, on the 30th, and it's your deal.
Just two more announcements. We've got a trail challenge coming up. We really wanted to do it in North Carolina, but we couldn't. We really did want to do this in eastern North Carolina, but like this fine gentleman was saying, we don't have a lot of public or designated horse trails for a long trail challenge. We ended up going just over the state line to South Carolina. So next weekend is the Carolina Spring Trail Challenge. It's going to be amazing. So many volunteers have stepped up. Please be ambassadors. Please go out and tell people we still have openings for riders. 6 judged obstacles, a beautiful maritime forest trail. You can't go wrong. There will be something there for everybody. You come in as a spectator for $5. All the proceeds go to Horse and Family Institute in Jacksonville. They're they're an equine assisted learning facility. Can't go wrong. You can get off and hand walk your horse across the obstacles. If he's not familiar with the obstacles, you can go in as a novice, an intermediate, or an advanced rider. Great prizes, great swag. Julie has made, amazing Julie, has made a grooming kit for every single rider that participates. We've got all kinds of stuff to put in this. We've got over 20 raffle prizes, well-trained judges. We're so excited about it.
Cooler horsemanship.
Cooler Horsemanship's doing a demonstration. We have other vendors down there. It's going to be fun, and we really did want to do it in eastern North Carolina.
But
And maybe next year with Howell Woods being a little bit longer, you know, we can approach them. So please let folks know, and I am selling raffle tickets tonight if anybody wants to buy a $5 ticket.
all the money goes to the Horse and Family Institute in Jacksonville for like their head trauma and post-traumatic stress disorder,
Amputees.
soldiers,
They do some really
amputees,
important
children.
work.
They need to buy farm implements to be able to work that land there that they've received. And that's really what our money is for. I think we have a focus on that.
Yep.
I would encourage you to go online and check out Horse and Family.
It's pretty cool, right?
It's really supporting our military, their entire families and that sort of thing.
Thank you.
It really is.
Majority.
Every penny we generate is going to them.
It's definitely a fantastic program, so I would encourage you to go online and check that out. So that you really
The cards are.
I did fail to mention one thing too, that reminded me of this. In July 8th through the 10th, North Carolina will be hosting the National Equestrian Trails Conference. People from all across the country will be coming to North Carolina to discuss for the first time just equestrian trails. We have land managers, trail user groups, and trail riders that will be attending that conference.
Where?
You can go to the National Equestrian Trails Conference website and check that out and actually register through the North Carolina Horse Council.
Where's it gonna be held?
It's July 8th through the 10th, and it's at the Sheraton, and RTP, Sheraton Beach Road.
It's right there, okay.
So it's the first time they're really looking at it, just talking about equestrian trails. So we're real excited about that, and everybody's welcome, so we'd love to have you.
So how do we join the Horse Council?
I do have membership brochures here.
They're up there on the table.
They're on the table, and you can fill them out and mail them in, or you can go online, and we do accept credit cards. We do accept credit cards, and register online. Either way is perfectly acceptable. So we hope you'll join. We need you.
I think we need you. More than that, but thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, they're in my pocket. That's the best.
All right, is everybody done with your questions and stuff?
I just have one more.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you an independent group? You're not under any government
No,
agency?
no, we are a 501c5. That's an agricultural commodity group. We're a C5 because we want to be able to lobby. That allows us to not only be a nonprofit, but to lobby for our industry's interest. We have a companion, North Carolina Horse Council Foundation, which is just a 501c3. Now, we can support the foundation cannot support us. That's why we're looking at trying to take some of our revenue stream and move it to the foundation. So we're a 501c3, we're responsible to no government agency.
And is it all just
It's all volunteers.
and membership fees and fees and
That's it,
License plate tax.
that's it. We get our money from membership, the feed assessment, the license plate, and grants, some revenue that way. We've had some federal grants in and dollars in for projects. We just finished a federal 319 grant, first ever in the country that gave equine farmers assistance on putting up best management practices to help water quality on their farms. So we built compost pits, we put up fencing, we did dry lots, we did a lot of things. That's the first, we've always been denied assistance. They gave it to other agricultural groups, but never to equine farms. This 319 grant was the first time where that cost share was given to equine farmers. So we're hoping that they'll roll that in too. We just completed that this year.
But there's only 1,300 members.
Individual, they're only 1,300, correct, across the
Where was
state.
it?
Most people don't know about us. I mean, a lot of people don't even
there's
know.
group memberships.
Some of us,
With our group membership, we're much larger because all major associations in this state belong to the Horse Council. The Quarter Horse, the North Carolina Hunter Jumper, Arabian, almost all of them. All of the backcountry horseman chapters belong, all of our major trail user groups belong. Some city and counties belong. Because they don't know what we're doing.
Things
And-
to join, I
And
can't
other groups like
tell
that.
what,
If you
is
add
a
them,
form or something?
we have close, because every member of their group becomes an affiliate member with us under that membership. They don't get the benefits, but they're an affiliate member. We have close to probably 23,000.
But the legislature's not that interested in
But
that.
they're not that interested in this. No, no. They want to know that unique number. So I would love to see that unique number reflect that 53,000 households. We would be huge. We would get almost everything.
Let me ask you a question, Mike. How, other than a license plate and one membership, how else can we?
You can help me by
up to the 6th. Actually,
It's dark
what it
because
is,
there's
we're including the volunteers. They're in the box too. So we have like 40 more people. We can, we're 9 short. Here I am. 9 riders short.
Yes, you do.
We're filling these up.
Do you guys hear that? Can you hang on 1 second? So ways that we can help them, obviously membership, obviously license plates, right? But also to be the eyes and ears and let her know what you need and what you see the needs are in the state and in our county. But also for the state fair, when they do teach the riding lessons, the free 5-minute riding lessons, one of the things that we really need is, there's a pretty long line for that, right? So if somebody can walk around,
Yes.
if somebody can walk around with a plastic horse or, a horse t-shirt or something and talk to these kids about horses
And we have all the education
while they're
materials
in
for
line,
them.
I mean, they've got all the things. They just need bodies to kind of help keep these people interested while they're in line and talk to them about horses. There is certainly a need for that. So if you're really wanting to help, that would be a great place for it.
Come up for the day, for the weekend, and volunteer with us. We love it.
When is that?
During the state fair. It's October
Oh, you'd be
15th
really
through
good
the
at that.
23rd, I think, this year.
Be great at that.
Jimmy did it last year.
And we have an alley of breeds there too, where we take youth groups through that alley. We do a private backstage tour with our kids, our youth groups, and we tell them about all 10 different equine breeds. Provide them an activity, an educational activity, and talk to them about this breed and that breed, and then connect them up with the riding instructors across the state, because they're from all over the state, to try to keep them interested and engaged. And we do an educational session on those breeds, and we have handouts so that the volunteers feel secure in knowing, taking people through.
So if these guys want to volunteer, they just need to call the
They just need to
office,
call
right?
us.
And then-
We're just finalizing that contract with the state fair now. So as soon as that's signed, as soon as that ink is wet, we'll go ahead and put out that call for volunteers.
Anybody else got anything for Stu?
Thank you, guys. It was great.
Thank you.
You can get that in the county, you turn back and do it. The other side of town. We did promise. Right, we are on it, yeah.
Yes.
Membership forms, you can't find the pamphlets? Are they all gone?
Does anybody want a raffle ticket?
Yeah, I'll leave it right in those first.
That'd be awesome, thank you.
She's such a
the only one that has seen
Well, I mean, Dale and I, we sanded
To let it out. I mean, you know, I just. When did we start? I couldn't do it cold. Just stay in.
I don't like feed mine, but I mean, I guess.
Oh, yeah, you showed me that.
I already got them. Where are they? They're in my car. Sue brought them in our car. I already got them. Yeah, she brought them. Are you here by raffle ticket? We have an announcement. You sold a raffle ticket.
We look at our house from our house. They work out like a typewriter.
You can buy a raffle ticket and I'll show you the product.
And they do it in the morning, and then when they get in the woods, sun's up, they don't get out.
You can choose on there if there's something on the list you're
Very clever.
yeah. No, you don't have to pick something, but the way they do it is if you want it. Sweet. Yeah, I want to go on and get there to
Let me just give you.
just throw it in a general pot, but
I don't know, right later. I'm gonna bet that's, all right. I don't get easily switched.
Dark, go to bed. Light, get up, go to work. You know? That's about it. Man, oh man.
you are.
The thorniest
They're
chicken.
5, right? Yeah. Y'all know how excited I am.
Give these morons. They're gone and they turn into morons. You give these morons.
I'll work my tail off and I have not been doing
This, the rest of the world doesn't have that.
No, you don't have to do it. Although we love it over there. Three. So I like that hayloft. Yes. Yes. Right here. Ida. You don't have to. But there's some stuff on there. Yes, please. And then your people want to have. They're always so proud of you for getting it done.
The progression of
Nice.
things.
Have I ever met you? No, I've seen you here. I live in Oregon. I don't get out much. I don't get out. And I live way down yonder. Do you live in here? I live way down, almost Carolina Beach. We've been there a long time. All right, this is mine. There's some good stuff on there. Like,
I'm just saying, one or two that are not
no, everybody at dinner's trying to get one of those. That's their little gift bag. And then we have some swag that goes on for that day. This is our list. You should get them while they're hot. You should get them. They're $5. And all the money we make goes to.
Okay.
Yes. That's the raffle. And she's getting sued and she got tickets and these are prizes. You can choose a prize or it'll go into a general and you'll just get it drawn. Good for you. You know, we could maybe, you live in Henderson? This is mine. This is yours. It's so nice to meet you. I'm Julie Congleton. Thank you so much for doing that. Look, we're rolling in the dough over here.
Well, but if we haven't beaten during blueberry season, I'll bring blueberries.
Okay. Okay, we'll see you soon. Do you need that in your thing on the load? Put that in there. Yay! Thank you. Woo! Laura's gonna be so proud of me. Right there to the right. We made one. We made 76 of them.
Oh, I shouldn't bring mine.
Do you like it? It's not been sealed yet, but it's all sandy and ready to go. It's good. We've been making those for years. Hudson's Hardware donated the handle and screw, and Hudson's Hardware. It was really nice. Which one?
Well, she just started.
So I get the go. You can fit.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Yeti beverage pack is gave us some metal work
I
stuff.
don't know whose computer it is.
Cooler board.
Oh, you want that? Okay.
She signed up for the you know, that day there'll be a bucket for each one and then they'll draw a ticket out. Thank you for coming.
Can we give you money for food?
No, but you can buy a raffle ticket.
Actually, I shouldn't say that.
Did you already buy some?
No, if I have no cash.
Oh yeah, that's all right.
What are you raffling?
All of this stuff.
And I'm gonna make a donation for your raffle too.
Well, that's all. These are 5, and that's what that is for the
Are those
raffle.
numbers?
Oh.
No, you write on there the item. So she does. She will. She really will. Thank
When I
you.
draw something off for her, I'll.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You went that way.
There's a lot of stuff on there. They said the sweet pepper thing is humongous. Yeah. And then this, the hotel thing, the dog restaurant.
Okay, take care.
Food
Bye.
workmanship. Oil changes. Football tickets.
I'm usually like this.
I gotta get over your way.
I listened to the 5 messages I got.
Put your eyes on. Yeah.
Do you mind coming by and get that?
I'm gonna leave your cup out.
I got Danielle. I'll get it. I will get it.
What, the coolers?
No.
I'll be in town till
Let me know, yeah, if there's something that I can do for you.
after I get Mustangs, and then I'll probably leave after that. I don't know. Starting to think maybe not.